What's up, guys? Welcome to American Roofing Company, a guide to measuring roofs. So in today's video, we're going to talk all about how to diagram and measure a roof so you can make sure those material lists are on spot every single time. Before we hop right into it and get everything covered, I want you to take a few minutes and actually copy these two diagrams I'm going to put up on your screen for a minute. Pause the video and diagram these out so that you can follow along. I've got the exact same diagrams on the whiteboard here behind me. We're going to take a few minutes and go over those, but first you'll need a copy to follow along with. All right, now that you've got your diagrams ready to rock and roll, let's go ahead and hop onto it. So the first roof I want to take a look at is this gable roof here. So the gable roof is made up of several different components. You're going to see these on most of your roofs anyway, but we've got this main ridge right here. Then you've got your valleys here. This right here is going to be a secondary ridge. So the first thing that you want to do after you've got it diagrammed is you want to section everything off into easily measurable sections. So we want to go ahead and take and draw an imaginary line. Keep in mind your dotted lines here, those are for valleys. Your hard lines are the ends of roof lines or ridge. Then you've also got the squigglies here. Those squiggly lines there, those are actually imaginary lines. So that's just for you to measure. So we want to go ahead and section these off. So the first section that we've got here is going to be here to here, and from here all the way down. So essentially this is just your length and your width of these squares. So we've got section A, then we've got section B, which is the same on this side. Then we've got C and D. So you notice here, whenever I drew that imaginary line, it included this section of this extension of the house within this other square. So whenever we go ahead and measure these out, we'll have an accurate measurement. So to make numbers easy, we're going to say that this right here is 20. The full width is 50. Okay, so then we come up over here and we're going to say these are 10 by 10. Now, we want to go ahead and write out our math on these. So, we've got section A, we've got section B, we've got C, and D. So, section A is 50 by 20. Section B is also 50 by 20. Section C is going to be a 10 by 10. And section D is a 10 by 10 as well. Now, we go ahead and figure up our numbers and we'll move on to the next step. So if you've done your math correctly, you should have come up with 2,200 square feet. Now, all that we did is took each section, actually multiplied that out. That gives us our total square feet of each slope. Then we can take this, divide this number by 100, or just move that decimal point over 2 places, and that's going to give you your squares. So a square is a 10-foot by 10-foot section. So this roof here will be 22 squares. Double check your math, make sure everything's right, and we're about to move on into the hip roof. Alright, so now let's hop on into this hip roof. Now the hip roof, it looks a little more complicated. Essentially, it is going to have a eave all the way around, which means that's a point that a gutter would naturally need to go if you're going to install gutters onto a home. But they also have these ridge lines that come up to the main ridge line. So you don't actually have those valleys like you do here on this extension, this gable extension on the gable roof. So you only need 2 measurements on this roof. We're going to account for the extra ridge lines in the slope factor, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So on this roof here, you're going to get this same length, and you're going to get the width. So again, to make these numbers easy, what we'll do is we will do 40, and we will do it by 50. Okay, so you do this like the exact same way that you did on the other one, except you've only got this one section. So we've got section A here. So we take section A equals 2,000. Now we've got to remember to move that decimal point over. So we move that over to there, and we've got 20 squares. Of course, if you order 20 squares worth of shingles for a roof like this, it's gonna come up short. So we have to talk about that slope factor next, that we're gonna need to actually change that, multiply this number by that slope factor to get an accurate size. So you know exactly what materials to order and everything is gonna be accurate. All right, guys, we've got these diagrams done. Almost everything is finished up, but we've got to add in our waste factor. So depending on how chopped up a roof is, we can do everything from 10% all the way up to a 22%. But your averages are 10% on a gable roof, like that first one that we did. It's not real cut up. It doesn't have a lot of starting and stopping whenever you go to install those shingles. But then on a hip, you want to start typically at the 15% mark, and that can go between 15 to 17%. And typically you're looking between 10 and 12% on those gable roofs. But there's a few different apps you can download that shows examples of different cut levels of roofs, and I'm actually going to put one of the links to those on the bottom. So I hope that we got everything covered. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, and thanks for watching.